ranking the Big Ten coaches for 2026.
College football is almost back, so let's talk about some Big Ten coaches.
Welcome back to the Big Mountain. JY and his good friend Steve, we are gearing up for the 2026 football season, and Steve wants to talk about the Big Ten. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so let's talk about. We're going to talk about my confidence in the different Big Ten coaches and how they can perform, how I expect them to perform this season. The faith that I have in them to perform in the current environment. This isn't necessarily a resume test.
Okay.
It's more of this year. How confident that I think they can lead their team to whatever their team goals are.
All right. Are you starting at the bottom or the top?
Let's start at the top.
Ooh, I like it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so number one, right out of the gate, I got Indiana's Curt Cignetti.
Mhm.
Probably not too much of a surprise to anybody. We've been high on Curt Cignetti these last 2 years. We saw the job. We were familiar with what he did at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and as he moved up through the levels, expected him to do well and compete in the Big Ten. Even picked him 2 years ago to be a potential playoff team.
Yep.
Well, they far have outstripped, even my expectations. Last year, he leads his team to the promised land. Year two, year one, they get to the CFB. Year two, they win the national championship. And honestly, we're going from the point where this guy was a little known. 2 years ago, he was little known.
Yeah.
Nobody knows him unless they Google him, kind of thing. Am I crazy to say if they have another year of success like this, like he could be put, if they were to win another national championship or even a Big Ten championship,
Right.
and compete in the playoff, like in GOAT conversation, up there with like a Nick Saban type and all of that stuff, when you look at his body of work. So right now he's firing on all cylinders. There's nobody in the business that is coaching college football better than he is.
Agree. He's got it all figured out. He's had it figured out,
Mm-hmm.
and he's proving it no matter where he's at. He has it figured out.
Just Google him.
And just Google him. Exactly. Absolutely. For me, number one, I am a bit of a homer. As you mentioned, we've been following him for a while, coached at my alma mater, and but he's proven it at every level. He's got a swagger and a cockiness to him, which I don't mind if you can back it up, and he can absolutely back it up.
Yes. All right. So let's move on down the line. Number two, a guy who won the national championship the year before, Ryan Day of Ohio State. For a long time, he was looked at, okay, he's that guy. He's a good coach. He does all these things, great offensive play caller. But people looked at him as, okay, he was handed a good team.
Yeah.
And what has he done with it? He hasn't won a national championship. Well, in this current modern era of NIL and all that stuff, everything that goes into it, other than Curt Cignetti, there's no one else in the Big Ten that I have more confidence in that knows how to win a national championship, a Big Ten championship and a national championship, than Ryan Day. And yes, he does have the keys to a Ferrari, but he knows how to drive the thing.
Heck yeah.
He's already won the race before. Would not be surprised at all to see him win the national championship again this year. And they'll definitely be competitors for sure.
Well, how many times do you see a coach be given a keys to a Ferrari and crash that Ferrari in a short amount of time?
Yes.
It happens way more than a guy that can actually drive the Ferrari.
Yes.
I'm a big Ryan Day guy. I think he's done a phenomenal job. He's a winner. I think, he coaches really well on the field. He knows the game off the field in terms of the environment and stuff. To me, these top two are clear top two.
Yes.
I think you have a drop off. We'll see who you have as three. The top two for me, I'm sure people would say, well, Ryan Day should be one versus Chris. Whatever. You can make that argument. Absolute clear top two for me. And I think you got him right.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Well, let's move on to number three. This one's a little bit out of the norm, or a little bit out of what we saw for the top two national championship winning coaches. I'm going to go number three, my confidence rankings, Iowa's Kirk Ferentz. And remember, I said at the beginning of this was my confidence in a coach to be able to lead a team to its goals. Well, Iowa has different goals than Ohio State. That's just the way it is. To me, Kirk Ferentz is a guy you could go and you could give him 50 players at any level, similar to a Curt Cignetti, 50 players at any level of football, and he can go out there and coach those players, have them playing great special teams, great defense, always be in the game, that kind of thing. He's just a coach. Maybe he's not the guy who is going to go get, all the big players, all the big splashes and all that kind of stuff. But the dude just is a great coach, just wins. I think he's had that program at Iowa at basically its peak for a decade
Right.
now.
Yeah.
I don't know how much, I don't know if you could do much better there. And people will say Indiana, Kurt Signetti. Well, Kurt Signetti, yes, and is awesome. We think he's great. He's our number one, but he also had the benefit of Mark Cuban giving him some money to,
Yeah.
for NIL payroll. Iowa doesn't have that, but to me, Kirk Ferentz, like you said, the top two, way clear and above the rest. But if you just look at coaching skills and someone that I'm confident that he will have Iowa doing and achieving their goals, that's Kirk Ferentz for me.
Yeah, I think you make great points. I'm not sure I would think of him in a top three, maybe top five or six. Definitely one of the most solid coaches in the Big Ten. But I think you have a couple more coming up that I could see probably being slightly ahead of him. But I think you make the key point. He's kept Iowa about to their peak for what they're able to do for a very long time, and he needs to be given a lot of credit for that. So well stated.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say on Kirk Ferentz, I think if you handed him the keys to Michigan, I think he would have them in, competing for Big Ten championships, national championships every single year consistently. And that takes me to our next guy.
Okay.
Because we took a fantastic coach, Kyle Whittingham out of Utah. He's now the coach of Michigan. Sharon Moore is gone. He had his issues that have been well documented. Last year, I had him as my number 2 coach on the hot seats,
Right.
and he was gone pretty quick. But now Kyle Whittingham gets handed the keys, maybe not to a Lamborghini,
Yeah.
but maybe a Bentley or a nice high-end Mercedes or
Sure.
BMW.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see what he can do. Again, he was the Kirk Ferentz of the western side of the country.
Yeah.
He had that Utah program humming, competing for PAC championships. I think, basically he had that Utah program at its absolute peak for, again, close to 10 years, close to a decade. Just a fantastic coach, runs a great program, clean program. No one ever says like, his guys are not developed, they're not ready to play, none of that stuff. So I look for him to do basically what he did at Utah, come in, take a program with more resources,
Yeah.
probably a lot more talent. Let's just be real. And I have a lot of confidence. Now, are they going to go back to winning a national championship again? Well, they have to rebuild the program. And the last time they did, there was this little cheating scandal. And I expect him to come in, run a clean program, and have Michigan right back to where they were. I have no doubts in my mind.
I love this coach. I've been a big Utah fan with him being the head coach. Different environment now being up in Michigan, as you mentioned. Probably overall just higher skill levels and depth of skill levels and ability to go out and get who you need through the portal a little bit more than what they had at Utah. So I appreciate you having him at 4 because we don't know what he's going to be like at Michigan. We think we know what he's going to be like. But I'm a big fan of this coach, and to me, absolute top 5 here. And possibly let's see what happens this year because he could become a top 3 or top 2 guy very quickly in this list.
I think they have some, questions at quarterback with Bryce Underwood. Is he going to be able to take that next step? But honestly, I think with his coaching and the talent they have, I think to me, Michigan is one of those dark horse teams that, like you said, he could be back in 2 or 3 if he takes them to where they could get to. So that leads me number 5, Oregon, Dan Lanning. This is a guy, again, there are some criticisms of him. He's lost some close games, to Washington. He's lost some playoff games, beat Ohio State in the regular season a couple years ago, and then just gets slobber-knockered by them in the playoff, after they had like 6 weeks of time off or something, and Ohio State is coming off of a great playoff game. So there are some little criticisms. The biggest criticism about him is he hasn't won a national championship yet.
Yeah.
I could see him with the talent that Oregon has. He knows how to run a program, put together a roster, and get either the most out of it or get it close to its peak in this current era of NIL. The quarterback play. I mean, they just keep bringing in quarterbacks, and they play better than where they were before. I expect that to continue this year. And this is a guy, if I could see them winning a Big Ten and or national championship this year, which would probably jump him right into that group, that top group with Signetti and Ryan Day.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. Or you know what, just kind of staying where they were, and then people will still say, okay, he's great, but he hasn't won a national championship yet.
I'm a Lanning guy too. I think I'd have him at 3. I'd have him below Day because he hasn't won the championship, but he runs that program for me kind of similarly to the way Ryan Day runs Ohio State. Now Day's, you've talked about he was given a silver spoon or whatever, keys to the cat. I get all that, but outside of the championship, I got Lanning right up there. So I think he's easily top 5. You have him as number 5. I probably would have him slightly ahead, even though I do like Kyle Whittingham. Jury's out here a little bit on the Michigan piece. But I have no qualms with your top 5. I agree with your top 5. Maybe the placement a little different, but I really don't have a lot of issue with your list so far.
Well, JY, number 6 is where you may get some head scratchers. Maybe some people, really? You got him this high? I'm going with Illinois' Brett Bielema. He ran a fantastic program at Wisconsin, tons and tons of success. He left there to go to the SEC because they had some issues with funding and different things at Wisconsin. It didn't work out in the SEC at Arkansas, but he comes back and he's at Illinois just humming. Now, again, they have not won a Big Ten championship. They have not made the playoff. But to me, since he's gotten back, he's had them basically operating at what I think is peak Illinois football. I could easily see them being like a 9-3 team again this year, being on that edge of a playoff talk. Like, if they would have just won this one more game. I just think he's a fantastic coach. He always has a good offensive line. He pretty much always has a good defense, good running game. Almost every year they win a game that you're like, oh wow, how I think 2 years ago they beat you, or last year they beat USC.
Yeah,
USC had a path to get into the playoffs,
right?
And Illinois beat the crap out of them. So every year he seems to get one of those kind of wins. I just think he's a great coach. I think again, Illinois does not have the resources and the ability to get the talent maybe that some of these top end places. But to me, Brett Bielema, just a really good, solid coach.
Yeah, to me, I said the top 5 is the clear top 5. I think for me, there's a gap here. Probably the next, we go 6 through maybe 10 to 13-ish. So the next 6 to 8 coaches, I would say, is the next maybe group, probably a pretty big group. Whether he's 6 or 7 or 8, I don't really know. But he's definitely in this next group. I'd like to see a little more out of this club. Even last year, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more out of this club. But there's a lot of coaches we haven't talked about, and I think he's worthy of here given the coaches you have yet to speak about.
Well, let's go next. Minnesota, PJ Fleck. Again, I think he's had Minnesota, they had I think it was 2019. They won 9 or 10 games. They only had a 14 playoff then. They could have been a contender for a playoff spot with a 12-team playoff. He's had some ups and down years, but for the most part, I think he's had Minnesota operating for the last decade at kind of the most that they can do. He's got a real nice quarterback coming back this year. The thing about PJ Fleck is he's got a very dynamic personality, all of that stuff, but his style of the football that they produce is kind of boring.
Right.
Run the ball, play good defense, run out the clock, take the air out of the ball. But overall, I have confidence that he will have this Minnesota team just, humming, doing well. And I easily see them winning 8 or 9 games and making a bowl game, doing well, which to me, maybe not 9 games. We'll say 8 games. I definitely could see them winning 8 games, making a bowl game. And I just have a lot of confidence in him to be able to do what I think are accomplish Minnesota's goals each year.
Well, I have Fleck in the same type of mold as Ferentz, and you kind of said some similar things there in terms of they run their program really well. Their ceiling is probably lower than most of the other programs you've talked about so far, 1 through 7. But he's doing the most with what he has, and so I have no qualms with him. I think he runs a good program, but I think there is somewhat of a limit to what he's going to have the ability to do in Minnesota. It's just the way it is.
Yep. Okay, so next, this one was really difficult for me. This next coach, I could have had anywhere, depending on how you look at his time before he came to the Big Ten.
Okay.
Could have had him anywhere from like thinking about him up in 4 and 5 territory to maybe all the way in the bottom 5 or 6. Really depends on how you look at what he did before he came, and that's number 8, Penn State's brand new hire, Matt Campbell, in his first year at Penn State, first year in the Big Ten, comes over from Iowa State. They were a doormat program before.
Right.
He has had consistent success, not the highest levels of success, but consistent winning teams, consistent bowl teams. Every year giving Iowa their run for their money. And I think a few years ago they upset a Texas team that everyone was looking at as like, oh, that maybe Texas is back kind of thing.
Yeah.
So again, just consistently good, but not great. At Iowa State, last year I think they went 8-4 in a pretty just kind of average Big 12. But before that, he had really kind of revitalized this Iowa State program. And then before that, he'd been at Toledo.
Yeah.
Was very successful. I think I'm pretty sure it's Toledo. It was one of the MAC schools. I think it was Toledo. Very successful there. So I have him here at number 8. I think he's a good, solid coach. I think he can get Penn State. I have a lot of confidence that he can get Penn State, especially with their schedule, to like an 8-win, 9-win season, which is just is kind of where Penn State probably needs to be coming out of a coaching change, but not high enough where I don't know if they're going to take the next step kind of thing, and that's why I didn't put him in that higher group. But good, solid coach, has a proven track record. It's just how high can he really take that program? So I have him at 8, kind of close to the middle of the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think this is the one I'll disagree with the most thus far. You have him in the top half. We don't know what he's going to be like in the
Yeah.
Big Ten. We talked about Whittingham earlier. What he did at Utah, to me, very different than what Campbell has done in his past. I don't care where he's been. I just wouldn't have him in the top half until we know what exactly he's going to be doing. Everything you said there is accurate, but I mean, we haven't talked about some of these other coaches that have already had success in the Big Ten. So to me, I would have him lower.
Yeah.
Certainly in the bottom half, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be better than I'm thinking.
No, and I get it, and like that's why I said it's hard with these new coaches coming in.
Yeah.
It's hard to evaluate their past and how that will translate to the Big Ten. And I think after this year, we'll have a good idea right away in year one, because Penn State has one of their easiest schedules they've had
Sure.
since they got to the Big Ten. So we'll see how it goes. But let's just move on. Number 9, Rutgers, Greg
Yep.
Schiano. Again, this is another one where people are, might say, oh, Rutgers sucks. Schiano, Greg Schiano sucks. I think he has a proven track record. He won before at Rutgers. Now they were in the Big East,
Right.
but won like New Year's 6 games, Big East championships, had Rutgers performing at the highest levels they've ever performed. He moves on. He goes to the NFL. He was at Ohio State, defensive coordinator. He comes back to Rutgers. Rutgers was an absolute doormat. And honestly, I think he's had Rutgers performing at the highest that you can expect really anybody to.
Right.
With their lack of resources, ability to get talent. I think he's made chicken salad out of chicken shit kind of thing. That'll be my only swear word of the episode.
I hate that analogy.
But really, I think he's done a good job. I think he's a good coach. And I didn't just so much go on the past with him in the distant past as much as since he's gotten to the Big Ten. I think he's had Rutgers performing at really their peak. So I have confidence, and they may not have a great record this year because there's a lot of teams that have a lot more talent, but I have confidence in him that he's going to get the most out of this Rutgers team that anybody could.
I'm fine with you having him right here, right smack dab in the middle. 9-10-ish area. Again, I talked about this, when we got to 6 down through something, we're still in that same tier for me, right? So I'm fine, and I agree. I've been a fan of Greg Schiano. I think he's done fine at Rutgers. Again, given what he has and what he doesn't have, and yeah, I'm fine with him right smack dab in the middle. But now we got to go to the bottom half.
Yeah. Well, the next one, number 10, USC's Lincoln Riley. This is the most polarizing in the Big Ten, polarizing between me and you and conversations we've had over the years. Lincoln Riley, tons of success at Oklahoma, has had tons of success working with quarterbacks, turning them into Heisman Trophy winners.
Yeah.
Has not had the success on the field yet at USC.
Yeah.
It has Jaden Maeva coming back another year. Tons of talent on this roster. They do have an incredibly hard schedule. I think this is a huge year for Lincoln Riley, and got him right in the middle. And honestly, I could see anything from them, getting to the CFP and winning some games, all the way down to a 7-6 or 7-5 record and him getting fired. I could see
Yeah.
either one of those happening, and even they could win a national championship. I mean, with the experienced quarterback coming back, with the talent they have, I mean, it's all the possibilities in the world. But I have him at 10
Yeah.
because I don't have confidence that he will take them farther. I don't have confidence that he won't either. So I right in the middle, I believe Lincoln Riley, but it wouldn't surprise me for him to get fired after the season, or it wouldn't be surprising if they competed for a national championship and we jumped them up to in the top 3 or 4 coaches after that. We'll see.
I'm actually surprised you have him this low. I'm fine with where he's at because I'm not a massive Lincoln Riley fan. I think for the most part, him and his team and USC just in general are always overrated. That's just how I always have viewed USC. And I don't wish him bad luck. I would, he can be successful. I don't think he can be. And they talk about the talent that he has down there. They always have these flububs. And I'll tell you, they're come out against Fresno State in week 1. And I'm not saying Fresno State's going to win, but don't look past Fresno State because they have a really good football team this year. And that could be the beginning of the end if they have a struggle against Fresno State. So I have no issue with him being a 10. Again, still in this second group, this 6 through 10. I'll let you know when I feel like we're out of that group, but I'm still in that second tier right now.
Me too. But I think he's the guy who has the most volatility, where it could go either way.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised.
Sure.
They could go 11-1 and win the Big Ten championship. I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
And they go 7-5 and he gets fired. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
So, next coach, Washington, was Jed Fish. Did a great thing. Was very good at Arizona. Moves on to Washington. Has been okay. Is a really good, solid coach. Spent time in the NFL. Has had success in college at multiple places, but hasn't yet gotten Washington to take that next step.
Right.
Last year they had really good team with some young talent. Got most of that talent coming back this year. They have their Damon Williams, starting quarterback, came back. He tried to leave, but they reeled him back in. So I have him here in the middle because, again, for me, I think Washington's goals are they want to get to like a 9-10, we'll say 10-win season, make a playoff, get into a playoff spot. And I feel confident that he'll have a winning season. But I don't have really any confidence that they have enough and that he can do enough to push them over the hump, to beat an Oregon, to beat a even a USC, to beat a Penn State.
Yeah.
Penn State travels to Washington this year. That would be huge for Jed Fish and Washington if they were to upset Penn State. That could put them on the path to 10 wins, possible playoff spot. That would be huge. But I could also see them winning 8 games, going 8-4, and losing to the teams that they should lose to again.
Right. Well, I'm a Jed Fish fan. I'd like to see him be successful, but the jury is absolutely still out on them. They have bigger aspirations than a 7-5 season, and we'll see if he can get them to that next level. As I say, jury's out, but still in the second group. I still have him, again with this second tier.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like we're getting close to coming out of this second tier, though, Steve. Where are we at?
Moving. I think we're still in second tier. We'll see
Okay.
what you think. Number 12, Nebraska's Matt Rule.
Okay.
Again, had a lot of success early in his career at Temple and then at Baylor. We are in a new era now. I like Matt Rule. I think he's a really good X's and O's football coach. I think he's a good leader. He just has not been able to get it done at Nebraska yet.
Right.
And I can like him all he wants, all I want to,
Right.
and he could be a good coach and he put out good videos, cool videos. They're like, yeah, I like that guy. But do I have any confidence that he's going to take Nebraska to the next step this year? Not really.
Right.
I don't think they'll be terrible, but I could easily see them having a 7 or 8 win season, just being right, kind of right there in the mushy middle. So confidence rankings, I got to have him 12, Matt Rule at this point.
I agree. Got to see it. Got to see it. Bottom of this second tier. I'm about ready to get out of this tier, though. Matt, I'll keep you in it, but you're close.
So there were 2 brand new coaches that I had a lot of difficulty with. We already talked about Matt Campbell, and I'm giving him kind of some credit for some past what he did before.
Right.
Next, I've got at 13 UCLA's Bob Chesney.
Mhm.
Okay, was really good at JMU.
Mm-hmm.
Now he took over a program that Kurt Signetti had gotten taken them where they wanted to go.
Right.
He comes in, he keeps the program going, high
Right.
level of success, gets
Right.
to the playoff last year. I think he's a really good coach. He's already hit the ground with recruiting and all that stuff, which is really important. I think he's a good coach. I have him here for 2 reasons. One, he didn't have quite the resume, the history that I could build confidence on. He was just at the JMU. It's a big jump from James Madison to UCLA. He didn't have an ACC or Big 12 spot like in between there.
Right.
And then also UCLA, like they just haven't had that much success. So this was a guy where, part of me is like, man, I think he's really good. Like I could put him up at 5 or 6 or something like that, but I don't have that confidence. So I've got him at 13, but I wouldn't be surprised, if they were to outperform expectations, I wouldn't be surprised to see him shoot up the charts.
For where we are today, you have started the third tier for me.
Yeah.
Nothing against him. I got to see it. Got to see it. And I'm with you. Like, I mean, we could have him pretty significantly low, possibly. Or we could have him about, where he's at in the third tier. And I just too many unknowns right now. Wish the best of luck for him, what he's done. But let's wait and see kind of guy.
Yep. And well, that really stands out then, kind of takes me to my next guy.
Right.
Number 14, Michigan State's Pat Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
I got to see it in the new era.
Yep.
He did a fantastic job at Northwestern. I think had them performing at the peak for a long time of what you can get out of Pat Fitzgerald. I don't know how his coaching style transcends to the new NIL era, putting a roster together, talent era. And also it's a different beast being at the expectations were so low at Northwestern, he could always kind of outperform those. Michigan State, like they're ready to win. They just fired a guy after it was 1 year or 2 years.
I think 2.
Yeah.
Smith.
Right. Smith. So I think they're ready to go. They're ready to get better. I just don't know. I got to see it from Pat Fitzgerald of how he can perform in this new era of college football.
Totally agree. Nothing to add. Third tier. Got to see it.
Next is Wisconsin. Down at 15, Wisconsin's Luke Fickell. Lots of success at Cincinnati. Took the first G6 team to the 14 playoff.
Right.
I think he's a fantastic coach, just has not gotten it done at Wisconsin. Now, admittedly, they didn't have a ton of resources, and they had 2 hard schedules last 2 years. Brutally hard schedules. They have an easier schedule. Apparently, maybe they have some more resources. We're going to talk in another episode about his quarterback that he brought in. Yeah. He has not been able to get it done at Wisconsin. I think he's a good coach, but I don't have a ton of confidence that anything's really going to change this year other than their schedule's a little bit easier. So maybe they'll have a little bit better record. So until he shows us anything, something, I've got him down here at 15.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, waiting to see it. I mean, we're third tier. I'm going to say third tier is last tier.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And you mentioned this was a guy that you thought last year, hot seat.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people thought he was on the hot seat. I said
you said he'd make
would
it
get
through the year.
One more year. Yes.
Yeah.
This is it. This is
Okay.
it. For,
all right. All right, last 3. We are now scraping the bottom of the barrel, Steve.
So, and this pains me, the next one, number 16, Northwestern's David Braun, a coach both you and I appreciate. His first year, he took over. There was a scandal with Pat Fitzgerald when he left.
Yeah.
Takes that program over, has great success the first year. They pull off some upsets, did really well.
Yes.
Since then, he's just not been able to replicate that.
Right.
We say we got to see it. Well, we saw it the first year, but now we're not seeing it the next couple years, which makes it, you wonder, was it a flash in the pan? Did he get lucky? Whatever. I think he's a good coach. I don't really have confidence that he's a good enough coach to consistently have Northwestern performing, and even Northwestern's expectations are different. Like, I don't have a lot of confidence that he'll get Northwestern to a bowl this year.
Yeah.
Maybe he will. Now, one thing is that he did bring in Chip Kelly, offensive
Yes.
coordinator. And they're bringing, I think it was Aiden Childs, the quarterback. We're going to talk about quarterbacks next.
Yeah.
So maybe they catch some lightning in a bottle again with some offense and have a good season. I just don't have a lot of confidence. I have to see it a second time from him
Right.
before I'll believe it at this point.
Yeah, he's stock down for me with him. I had high hopes coming after that first year to at least have a similar season. Maybe not progress, but similar. Downward trend here with this, and I would like to see him turn that around.
So my next coach, no, at number 17, Barry Odom, guy you're very familiar with. Our Mountain West fans are familiar with.
Yeah.
Came from UNLV 2 years ago. Had some success at UNLV. Did
Yeah.
good. Good coach. He had some struggle. I think before UNLV, he might have been at was it Mississippi State or something?
There's Missouri.
Missouri, yeah, one of those. Just kind of okay before UNLV. Has success at UNLV, and it's taken some time here. It looks like it's taking some time at Purdue. We'll see. I'm not ready to write him off yet. I think it definitely gets this year, probably another year.
Yeah.
They have limitations at Purdue.
Yeah.
But am I confident that they could make a bowl this year? No, I'm not confident that they will win a Big Ten game this year. So I had to put him at 17, and unless he proves me wrong.
Well, I wish him the best. I hope he can get at least 3 years, and I hope he can get things turned around. But where we sit right now, absolutely 17 down here at the bottom. No issue with that.
So number 18, bringing up the rear, the guy that I said was on the hot seat last year, had him actually above Sharon Moore as the number one hot seat coach. I got him as 18, the confidence rankings. Mike Loxley, pretty good recruiter. A couple years ago, he's bringing in Talia Tailova. He brought in Malik Washington last year. He almost every year he gets one or two just like good players.
Right.
They look good. You start to think maybe they got something this year. And my joke every year is at the beginning of the season that Maryland is the worst 5-0 team in football.
Right.
And that's usually proven out by the
Yes.
end of the season. I expect that to be again this year. I don't think they'll get to 5-0. I don't think they'll get to 3-0. I mean, he's on the hot seat. It's just whether Maryland, they may just say, this is the best we can do. We don't want to put a lot more money into it. We're
Right.
a basketball school.
Right.
If they decide to fire him, if they ever decide to try and be good and compete in the Big Ten, they will eventually fire him. I don't have any success, or I don't have any confidence in him even getting Maryland to a bowl this year. And he's my number one coach again to be fired this year.
Okay. Still on the hot seat. It's getting even hotter. And yeah, no comments. I mean, we're at the bottom.
Yep.
So there we go, Steve. The list of Big Ten coaches from 1 to 18. Make sure you guys give us the comments down below. Let us know what you think about Steve's list of the Big Ten coaches. We're going to be doing the Big Ten QBs as well, 1 through 18. And check that video out. So with that, hey, thank you guys for tuning in. Smash that like button, and we'll see you next time on The Big Mountain.